Good evening, everyone, and a happy Tuesday. This is the Rodeo Joe Show. We're episode 8 now. But this is going to be kind of a short episode. I covered the last game of Week 3, which was last night with the Monday night game, and going to review preview the Thursday night game coming up to start the Week 4 schedule. A couple things before I get into it. I'd like to apologize on behalf of how late it took for the video to be posted last night. I had issues between with YouTube with connecting to it, and I had several attempts, and it took me a few hours to get everything in order. But unfortunately, it was kind of a late post last night, so I apologize to those that were looking forward to it and wanting to listen to it and didn't get the chance to really until late last night. Heck, almost towards the end of the game, which was unfortunate because I previewed the game about 4 hours before the video was posted, so it's kind of unfortunate that that happened. But anyway, let's just get right back into it. Like I said, this is going to be a short episode, but look for throughout the week that Monday and Friday will be the heavy hitting episodes, and this is just kind of a shorter episode. Just like I said, just to run down one game and preview another game. There's really not too much to cover. I also try to look at any headlines or key. Maybe injuries, maybe guys coming back that could potentially happen. But not really much happened in the league, in the last 24 hours. So I'm just going to get right into the calling the games. But first things first, I think last night's game between the Bears and the Redskins, I said that it could get ugly, and it did. Chicago ended up obviously winning the game 31-15. They were actually up 28-3 at one point at halftime. And, they just were truly, truly dominant. And, they capped it off with 5 turnovers. They had a pick six. It was actually the first touchdown of the game by Clinton Dix. And yeah, just overall impressive defensively. The Redskins didn't really bring much to the table anyway, but it was just an absolute dominant performance by the defense. You had to be impressed with it. Between the 3 interceptions, you had the 2 fumbles. I believe Khalil Mack and Danny Trevathan both got one, all on Case Keenum, and it's kind of unfortunate, and then I spoke earlier in the preview about how the Bears only had a 1-yard touchdown run, and that was their only offensive touchdowns this whole season. Well, they fired it up in the second quarter. Mitch Trubisky had 3 touchdowns to Taylor Gabriel. They were on fire. Gabriel left with a concussion and didn't return, but there was really no reason to return. If you look at the stats and you look at what Keenum was able to do, he's got a huge chunk of yards, had a couple touchdowns there, but that wasn't a lot of junk time. Like I said, Chicago just completely and thoroughly throttled this team, and the score, the final score really doesn't do justice to how dominant they really were. They kind of let off on them a little bit in the second half, but they really poured it on them for the most part. And with that being said, there's really nothing much more to say about that game, but there are some kind of intriguing headlines, I suppose you could say, with as far as the Redskins are concerned. You're looking at Jay Gruden now going in with a 0-3 record, and a lot of people are, kind of speculating that this might be his last year. And how do I feel about that? this is the what have you done for me lately league. I mean, and he really hasn't done much anyway. Be honest, following him as a coordinator to getting that head coaching job. Mike Zimmer, they both went out in the same year. Mike Zimmer's clearly the better coach and more. I think that Jay Gruden has a pretty decent offensive mind, but I don't think he's head coach material, and I don't know if he'll last this whole season, to be honest. I think it's pretty ugly. They're definitely, with what we saw yesterday with the Giants and able to bounce back and show that, they might have something here with Daniel Jones. The Redskins are clearly the worst team in that division. And I don't even really think it's close with what I've seen so far this season. But and then that leads it to a lot of people. Apparently there was fans that were chanting Haskins for Haskins, and that's a mistake. It's not even close to the same magnitude as what Daniel Jones was, with benching Eli for him, because they needed a spark. They need an offensive line for the Redskins. They're just, Keenum, he did the best he could. He's still, I think he's a pretty overrated quarterback, but he still, he didn't have any time to throw. It seemed like Chicago was in that backfield the entire game. And all you're going to do is putting Haskins into that situation is just to completely kill his growth as a young quarterback. And I know that sounds kind of odd coming from me with what I said about Daniel Jones, but this is a completely different situation. By all means, it's completely different. I think it's a mistake. I don't look for them to do it because a lot of the, brass inside Washington has said that, he's not ready. And if anybody's going to get the start, it'll be Colt McCoy, which that's fine. Put him in there. He's only been in the league for about 100 years as a full-time backup quarterback, so I don't know how he's still in the league, but put him in there. Don't put Haskins in there. I think that'd be a big mistake. But, like I said, the Redskins are in serious trouble, and I think the hottest seat in the league right now is Jay Gruden's seat. He's, it's burning. But moving on from that, we will go right into the first game of Week 4, which should be a pretty decent game. It's the Eagles at the Packers. Packers come into this game as a 5.5 point favorite already, and I look at this game and I like Green Bay. I really do. I think, their record speaks for itself, 3-0. But what have they done? They've had an extremely talented and I think has caught most people off guard, and that's their defense. And with, Aaron Rodgers just came out and said that defense has done their part. Now we have to step it up, because if you look at it, their offensive numbers really aren't that great. Like here, for example, just Rodgers himself in comparison to Wentz. Wentz has 803 yards passing, 6 touchdowns. He has 2 picks, but Rodgers has 641 yards passing, 4 touchdowns. On paper, the Eagles have more of a high-powered offense, I guess you could say. They average more yards, more points. But they also, allow more yards, more points than what Green Bay does. And I just, if there's been one blight to Green Bay's defense, and I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we only have 3 games to average and kind of evaluate numbers and this, that, and the other. But they're averaging 131 yards a game on the ground defensively. I think you can put a lot of that on Dalvin Cook and what he was able to do a couple weeks back. But yeah, this matchup does look like it's pretty decent on paper, but I just like Green Bay. I mean, the Eagles are not looking too hot. They've lost 2 in a row, and Green Bay, whereas they don't have the stellar offensive performance so far that really stands out. You got to also look at the teams that they've played. Their first 3 games was against Chicago, Minnesota, and Denver. I mean, those are 3 pretty talented defensive teams, and so I don't really hold too much against them for that. I think they will bounce back. I think you can't even say that. They're going to bounce back. Yeah, they're going to bounce back. They're a 3-0 team. They're really going to bounce back and be a 4-0 team. But don't mind me. But that's offensively, they're really going to pick things up this week, and I see the team as a whole having a lot better game. They are getting some good balance out of the running game with Aaron Jones. He has 3 rushing touchdowns this season, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I'm not too impressed with the Eagles, but I am extremely impressed with what I've seen with Green Bay. I thought they would be a good team, but I was really surprised at how good of a team they are, especially their defense. So if they can get all those elements together working cohesively, they're going to be a tough team to beat. And I do like them in this game, so I look forward to covering that for you guys on Friday. But that wraps up this week's episode. Sorry it was so short, but like I said, there's really not a whole lot that happened within the NFL in the last 24 hours, and just covering 2 games. But I appreciate all the feedback and support that I've received in just the short time that I've opened up this channel. But I'm always up for more. If there's anything you guys like to hear, I am considering really opening it up on this Friday's episode, and maybe including some college football as well to kind of open things up a little bit. That's something you guys are interested in. Just let me know. And thanks again for those that haven't yet. Please like, subscribe, comment, and I will keep it going. And thanks. I will talk to you guys on Friday.